Now, explorer and presenter Dwayne Fields has been named as the UK's Chief Scout. He succeeds Bear Grylls, who's served in the role since 2009. Well, Mr Fields is the 11th person to hold the title. He was also the first Black Briton to reach the North Pole. Scouts were founded by Lord Baden-Powell in the 1908 and currently have a membership of more than 500,000 young people and adult volunteers in the UK. Well, Dwayne Fields is with me. Thank you so much for coming in today. No, congratulations. This was just announced last night. How did you find out and how did you feel when you heard?
First of all, it was humble, honoured. That's all I felt when I first heard. I was first asked to be the Chief Scout to take Bear Grylls' place. This was back in January when the news first got to me.
And what does it mean, being Chief Scout?
Well, it's first of all, it's a position of responsibility. It's a position where you go out every single day, and in the role you say thank you to people, and you look for ways that you can grow the movement. Under Bear Grylls, we've grown every single year, bar two, the COVID years. We've got a membership now of 500,000 young people, 145,000 plus volunteers who do a fantastic job. And I think for me, it's about going out and increasing that number in both cases.
Your own personal story is remarkable just to hear about. Just tell us about your childhood, which was, you were born in Jamaica, then you came to the UK when you were quite young, but you then had a really tough time.
Yeah, so I was born in Jamaica, like you said. I came to the UK just before my 7th birthday, and I found it really tough, actually. The conversations that other kids were having, I couldn't have, because the world I'd come from was so different. And the first place that I found that I felt like I belonged was in a scout group, a cub group in North London where we first arrived. And later in life, I found, I stepped away from Scouts because we moved house, and I was searching for something to replace it with, and I just couldn't find anything.
And is this also around the time where you're also involved in sort of pretty tough stuff on the streets as well? Just tell me about that.
Yeah, so one of the things that we struggle with in the UK, in many of the cities in the UK, street violence, and I was a victim of both gun and knife crime long after I'd moved on from the Scouts. And years following, and I mean, the way I got through that was applying some of the lessons I learned when I was just 7 years old through scouting. Being able to show patience, which is so important, being able to be resilient so you can handle the things that life throw at you. Confidence that was developed in scouting. All of these things allowed me to overcome the challenges of, daily life that I faced on the streets. But
you then turned it around hugely, didn't you, from that, and did this incredible, exploratory adventure going to the North Pole, the first Black Briton to reach the North Pole. How did you do that journey and over what period?
Well, that was way back in 2010, and I think the aim for me with the North Pole journey was, if I wanted to be able to say to people, look, with all that I'm seeing on the street, all the violence, all the disruption, all the issues that we have in society, there is another way, there's more that we can do. And I thought, if I can prove it, I could have that conversation with people. I didn't want to say it and not have anything to stand on. So I said, I'm going to walk to the North Pole, and if I can do this really tough thing, surely you can do something small.
But you went from being a victim of awful crime. How did that turnaround happen? Because you talk about saying you were going to turn it around. What triggered it? What did you actually do? Because lots of people will be desperate to know.
Well, the first thing is, when you say you want to do a turnaround or make a change, sometimes you don't know exactly what that change looks like. In my case, it presented itself in the form of Ben Fogle and James Cracknell sitting in a BBC studio talking about going to the South Pole. And that inspired something in me, infused me, and I thought, well, actually, maybe that's the thing that I need to do. That's the thing that's really abstract and different to anything that I've experienced before. That's what I'm going to use. And I reached out, and the organisers of that event said, hey, look, we've got a trek going to the North Pole. We don't know if you can make it, but if you apply, we'll see where you get to.
Dwayne Fields, it's been great to meet you. Congratulations, and thank you very much indeed for sharing your story with us.